see here. So I had this conversation with this lady. I was getting like takeout. Close the door. I was getting takeout, and I was in a parking lot. And yeah, we are in a parking lot, and this lady had these cool bumper stickers about Scotland or whatever. And so I started asking her about it, and she's like, "Oh, this is from the guy who had the car before me." And so we started talking, and she at some point I'm like, yeah, Oregon's nice. I was looking at the Oregon sticker she had, and I'm like, yeah, Oregon's so nice. I've lived here for a certain number of years. And saying, well, yeah, well, I was born here. Like with this attitude, just a little bit of an attitude, and it was okay. I mean, it was still a good conversation. It wasn't like she was mean, but you could sense it. And it's like I'm never gonna be an Oregonian, like ever. Like I can live here. I can fit in as all I want. I can make all the friends I can. I can. That's another thing to talk about with Oregon. Um, I can do all this cool shit, volunteer work, whatever. You're never going to be an Oregonian. You're just never going to. If you're not from here, if you weren't born here, which is why I'm showing the cover of this book. I read this book. It's James Clavell Gaijin, because there's this concept in Japan that just like, Gaijin is like foreigner. And as I understand it, I've watched a lot of YouTube channels of people that migrated to Japan. Not because I want to, because the weed laws are shit, but I'm intrigued by the place. I'll be honest. They they just don't consider you. You're never going to be Japanese, right? You're just never. I mean, they'll be hospitable, they'll be nice, but you're never going to be Japanese. So let's think about this concept of the California diaspora, and I'm one of these. I was one of these for quite a while. I had to move out because I wanted to experience the urban lifestyle, and I realized LA and San Francisco were untenable. They were just not. They weren't. First of all, LA is not really urban. It's a big suburb. I mean, it has some kind of urban, but it's not like you can like ride your bike all over town there. I mean, you can, but it's like no. San Francisco, forget it, right? So that's why I went to Portland. But anyway, and speaking of Portland, here's the welcoming committee in Portland. Now this doesn't happen to everybody. This didn't happen to me, but this can't. This did happen. This is one of the incidences. There's been more. There's been more than one of these incidences where people like don't really appreciate us. Now it's not like you can't make friends here, but you're just never going to be an Oregonian if you weren't born here and go to high school here or something. Which is ironic because the best governor of Oregon and the best governor of the United States, he's considered like one of the coolest Oregonians ever, Tom McCall, who even tells people not to move here. He wasn't born here. He was born in Massachusetts, but since we copy their names, since we copy East Coast names, I guess we can. East Coasters are okay, Californians are bad or something. I don't know. They don't really want anybody moving here, but Californians especially, they really people just don't like Californians and they really hate them here. However, if you talk to them right, you can make friends with people. But this sticker on your car is not gonna do it. You're always gonna be a foreigner. You're always gonna be a Californian, which is kind of why, like, I just say fuck it, I'll go back. Like I like to belong where I am, and it just feels like I never like I like it here, but I just never seem to belong. It's just I don't know. Californians are very different about this. They like newcomers. They're like, of course you want to move here. Everybody wants to move here. Like they don't. I mean, yeah, there's people that are like California native, like they have like a sticker and they're proud of it or whatever. I've never done. I think I had that once. I had a California native like bike license plate or something. So yeah, I've shown a little of that, but when I lived there, but they don't like Californians don't really resent newcomers. They kind of like celebrate newcomers. It's weird. They just and most of them are newcomers. Like there used to be this New York chick who would come into my work and she'd be like, she had this like thick New York accent, and she's like, I don't know why anybody would move to Florida. The weather here is so much better. It was just funny, like there's no humidity. There's no, oh my God, it's so nice. Like yeah, even when it's hot, there's no humidity. I can't do that, but it's funny. So anyway, the thing is that like you're just never gonna be like if you move up here, especially from California, and so people still are. Although on a net basis, I believe it's true that the same number of Oregonians move to California as vice versa. Just Californians don't complain about it. That's all. I mean, they got enough problems, right? There's a lot of problems in California, but I'm not saying to move here, don't move here. I'm just explaining that you will never be an Oregonian. You will never. There will always be someone who just one-ups you by saying I was born here, and just that's the way it is. I mean, that's just yeah. So it's not like this is going to happen to you. that can happen. I mean, this is Portland, man. This is yeah, yeah. I remember one time I was in this web forum just lurking, but I knew who was who and what was what. And this guy like was this like Portland guy, and he was like liberal, and he's like Oregon for Oregonians, and this guy's like, geez, I might as well say like that sounds a lot like Hitler, just like well, what does that mean? Like Oregonian? What is an Oregonian? Like to me, it's somebody who likes the state, appreciates it, wants to be part of it, spend some time and effort into it. Doesn't want to mess it up. But forget it. I'm from California. That's just never going to happen. That's why I probably at some point just go back somehow, some way, in a way that is acceptable to my domestic situation somehow. But yeah, yeah. And if you do come here, wait, where is it? This is how you pronounce. If you're from the East Coast specifically, you don't say Oregon. It's Oregon, and that's why you have these like. Let's see if they have the cool one. There's the cool one with like the freaking AR on it or something. No, I don't know. I can't find it. But yeah, I was just saying, like, if you're in the California diaspora and you want to move to the suburb of the other suburb, you don't want to move to Nevada, you want to live in the other suburb of California called Oregon, then I would just accept the fact that you are never going to be an Oregonian. You're always going to be a Californian in their eyes, no matter how you look at it, even if you haven't gone back to the state for years or something. And they kind of resent you, but if you don't talk about California too much, you'll make friends. It'll be okay. Just don't be like, oh, California is awesome or whatever. Like, they hate that. Because I try to explain it like, no, it's the land. I'm not talking about, like, of course I hate the government there. Of course it's gross. Of course a lot of people there. I don't know. Californians like to make friends. Oregonians don't like to make friends either. That's a weird thing. They don't care about it. Like, they will, but they don't need to make friends. Like, they already have the people they know in their life. They don't need to know 20 million people. Like, I'm totally opposite. Like, my personality from growing up where I grew up is like, I want to know people. I want to make, more friends the better. Like, there's not, you just, I love talking to people. Just, I meet new people, whatever. Like, they don't really like that. They kind of shy. They kind of, I don't know. It might be the weather or something. They're just kind of different. But yeah, if you're from California, you're like, compare, like, why is everybody so like, that's just how they are. They take time. Once they see you at a couple different places, and then they'll get familiar to you or whatever. You have to be familiar to them. That's how they are. It's okay. It's just the way it is. Up here, it's just different. But yeah, Californians is like, you meet somebody, it's like, let's start a business right now. It's like, almost. But then they get flaky, but still. But yeah, you're always going to be gaijin in this state. I don't know about other states. I sort of lived in Colorado for a little while. They seemed friendly, but I don't know about like fitting in or whatever. I actually heard people complain about Californians in the short time I was there, but I wasn't. I was from Oregon, so I got to say, well, I'm from Oregon, right? Yeah, it was yeah, kind of a lie, but it works for that. But yeah, and this is a cool book, by the way, too. If you're into fiction, anything from James Clavell is good. I've read most of his books. This one is particularly relevant to what I was talking about because in this, it just talks about how Japanese view foreigners. Like they're. It's not like they're disrespectful, but you're just never going to be them. You're just. It's just that's. There's no transitioning. There's no surgery. There's no drug hormone therapy that will convert you into being an Oregonian. Besides, I've tried it: the cannabis, the caffeine, the alcohol, the chocolate, the rainy day hot chocolate. The chai tea. I think it was invented in Oregon. You're never gonna transition into being an Oregonian. You're always gonna be I mean, if you're from somewhere else, you're from somewhere else. But if you're a Californian, you're always going to be a little bit of a shithead. They're going to get a little bit of talking behind your back. They'll still like you. Don't get me wrong. But it's like, oh, that guy's from California. He can eat a dick. They'll talk like that. They just will. And you're just going to have to accept it. And sometimes I get a little miffed by it and kind of want to just not be around that anymore. But other times there's enough fellow transplants around here that I can kind of get along with. And some people just don't. It's not as big a deal as people make it. But I do agree that Californians, if you're going to move here, don't turn this place into California. I mean, you left California. Like, if you want California, stay there. I mean. So, yeah, and then I can go back there and take where you can have my house, I can have your house. I'll trade houses with somebody in the right place. I don't know. Like, you can do that if you actually own your house, but I don't own it like outright. But if you own it, like, I would actually do that. Just trade a house with somebody, but depending on where it was. But yeah. But anyway, yeah, that's just the advice to anybody who's thinking of moving out of California, and Oregon's their pick. It's not a bad pick, but It's actually pretty good. It might get really good. Like I'm, excited about what might be coming this November. I hope. I have my fingers crossed. But anyway, that's that. So have a good Saturday weekend day thing. But stop.